Mike Allen, let me ask you to respond to what Mark Regev said. They've agreed to 4-hour pauses now. There may be a 6-hour pause today, but not a ceasefire. The president obviously is frustrated because that is not the position. You've seen more open tension between the U.S. embrace of Israel's right to defend itself, but still the way the war is being prosecuted, some of the bunker buster bombs, some of the dumb munitions initially in Gaza, and now the hospitals being encircled.
Right.
Where do you come down on this? How does U.S. intelligence help find the hostages?
Yes.
We're not on the ground.
Well, you're right. I hope that U.S. intelligence is helping the Israelis, and if it's our position that the command and control of Hamas is underneath the Al-Shifa hospital, I hope we'll say so and help clear up some of this debate around the world.
I've been told we can't confirm that independently.
Can't confirm it
There
independently.
are elements of Hamas in those tunnels, but they can't confirm the precise description that Israel has been giving from the beginning.
So whatever they have, I hope they'll come out with it. I am trying to be sympathetic to the Israelis because of the situation they're in, and I want them to be able to prosecute the war to the fullest. But I think what they can do, and you alluded to this on the bunker buster bombs, if there's a way to achieve mission success while lessening the humanitarian consequences, they ought to go do it. We saw in the New York Times on Sunday, we wanted to use smaller diameter bombs. That makes more sense, more precision weaponry. Also, I know Netanyahu is trying when he tries to go forward with these humanitarian pauses, but it isn't in his self-interest over time if the international community lessens its pressure or recognizes Israel doing more for humanitarian causes. I think they'll give him more time to prosecute the war, which is what he needs. He's going to need a lot more than the 34 days that Israel had to prosecute a war against Hezbollah in 2006.
And Ambassador Pincus, help us here, because Israel is not yielding to what the U.S. says is a bottom line. Blinken repeated it today, that there needs to be a Palestinian governance, Palestinian rights, and a two-state solution. That is an article of faith with this administration. And Netanyahu's expansion of settlements arguably has not yielded to that. And there are members of his coalition who were telling us, we don't believe in Palestinian governance, and that they certainly have not shown the ability to lead themselves, but they've been undermined by Israeli positions over the last number of years, since 2014.
Well, you're exactly right, Andrea. But you have to assume that whatever plans the U.S. has for the day after in Gaza, and by extension the West Bank, and by extension a so-called, it's not a popular term these days, but it will become again a peace process, will involve a different Israeli government. You just alluded to the composition of Mr. Netanyahu's coalition and the fact that he's heading this government, and that won't work. Whether this is an intermittent ceasefire, a cessation of hostilities, a humanitarian pause, we can all play around with the terminology, but it won't work. Now, Mike Allen correctly said that it's going to take more time to pursue or to prosecute the war's objectives. Yes, but the question is how much more time? And I would assess conservatively no more than 2-3 weeks. And then there could be a period of time, again, 2-3 weeks, no more, of what low intensity conflict, search and destroy operations, but not an ongoing permanent Israeli military presence in the Gaza Strip. And so whatever ideas the U.S. has on who will govern Gaza, what will be the day after, has to be based on two fundamental assumptions: that Hamas is destroyed, at least politically. Militarily is a given, but at least politically, and that there is a different Israeli government.
And very, very briefly, Mike Allen, what are the chances of getting those hostages out?
I think they're very low. I noticed Barbara Leaf of the State Department said recently that she doesn't have a lot of trust in Qatar's ability to persuade Hamas to do this. So I put it at very low, frankly.